Can you hear me? Testing.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yes, we did it. I'm not intergalactic
I think
anymore.
everybody in chat should be able to hear you.
Yay! One in chat if he can hear me. Oh,
So,
Dubious, it's so nice to meet with you. I've been so looking forward to
yeah,
this for a
let us know.
while.
Let us know. Me as
Yahoo!
well. Yeah, totally. Thank you
Hell
for doing
yeah.
this. I
Of
appreciate it a lot.
course.
It's been a learning curve, learning to kind of, keep interviews flowing and all that. But at the same time, I find artists like to talk about their art, and it's not really that tough. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
it's been fun.
I was telling them even earlier today that I've only gotten a couple interviews in my life. And when you have a good interviewer with insightful comments and you can have the conversation back and forth and you feel comfortable, it feels so nice to be heard and to be able to talk. So I'm really excited for today's interview.
Totally. Well, and I mean, the other thing that's kind of special about this one compared to the other 50 interviews I've done with artists is that, like, I feel like you interact with your chat so much that maybe a lot of these questions are going to be stuff people have asked you in chat and that you've already talked about with your crowd. But hopefully we can kind of cross pollinate with some other people who might tap into After the Smoke is Clear, or the Fly Information interviews and stuff like that, and maybe they can learn some more about you too. So yeah, if you're good to go, let's get right into it. We don't need to worry about swearing or anything like that. I don't know if you ever swear or not, but
I don't really swear, but you can go. You can swear. I swear when I'm like off the internet, like with my friends. I actually curse like a sailor, but I don't know. I just like keep it clean on the internet. But you can swear as much as you want.
For sure. So can we just start like right off the top? Like, you obviously have been freestyling and practicing freestyling for what I would guess must be quite a long time. Like, where did this talent come from originally? Like, was this something you were doing kind of with friends in school, or like, how'd you get a start on this?
Not at all, actually. So it was very, very, very cool. So it was 2017. It was the summer of 2017. I think it was about June. I went to Bass Coast, which is a festival on the west coast of Canada. It's in Merritt, British Columbia. And I was just a little baby raver. I'd been going to some festivals and I loved that whole world. And earlier that year, a couple months before, I had written this like little dolphin rap for all my friends because one of our favorite DJs, Bass Panda. It all goes back to that. He was playing a show in Calgary and it was a dolphin party. So I made everyone dolphin totems, and a group of dolphins is called a pod squad. And so I wrote this little ditty about dolphins. And so I was kind of had it in my head, and I was kind of rapping it, not freestyling at all. I was kind of rapping my dolphin song to anybody who would listen at these music festivals. And I went to Bass Coast, and to anyone that's been there, it's like a beautiful transformational arts focused festival. And so there was a group there. They're from Vancouver. They're called the Freestyle Focus Group. And their whole thing is they create these mobile setups and they bring them around Vancouver, greater area, music festivals. They bring them everywhere and they encourage people to freestyle. It's essentially like two speakers and microphones on wheels. So at the end of this music festival, I'd seen them roaming around all weekend, and my friends knew that I wanted to try it. They're like, oh, you gotta go. And I remember walking over, getting on the mic for the first time and doing my little dolphin song, and it just woke something up in me, being on that microphone for a second. And I walked back to camp and I'm like, guys, I'm gonna be a rapper. And that is how I started rapping.
That's dope.
I tasted it and I couldn't stop.
So originally, because my follow-up question for that, follow-up question was like, were you writing before you started freestyling? And it sounds like maybe one song before you started freestyling, but since then, has the emphasis been mostly on freestyling?
Yeah, so kind of pretty much for the next year or so. It wasn't freestyling for a while. So after that festival, which was 2017, so that was what, like 6 years ago now. Pretty much I got back to Edmonton, and the first gig I ever had was a rap battle, because I was just brand new to it. Like I was just like, I just want to find opportunities to be a part of it. And I think J-Reds and then we're putting it on back at I think it's the Pawn Shop on White Ave before they stopped doing so much hip hop stuff there. But I remember going to that, and it was so fun.
Obviously, J-Reds,
shout out to J-Reds, it was so cool. And I remember being like, wow, this is really neat. So basically, between that and rapping over friends' DJ sets and stuff like that, I really started to enjoy it. But for the first year or so, I wasn't freestyling at all. I was just kind of, I had a few little like songs in my head that I would basically like, because you can get into the discussion of what is freestyle. Because back in the day, like what I do, freestyle rap, for me, it's completely improvised, right? But, some people would refer to freestyle as like freeform over any beat. So I guess how I began is the old version of freestyle, which is I had my like Rolodex of a couple raps that I'd written. And I was doing that for like a little while. And then I'm trying to remember chronologically kind of what happened, but essentially, I think I just started realizing that, you get the crowd reactions when instead of like rapping about a song that you wrote in Costa Rica, you're like, oh, actually, we're at a festival. So I was at, I remember specifically Rainbow Fiddle back in Alberta. I went with a friend of mine and I'm doing my one song. And I had this one of the first songs I'd ever written. The beginning line was like something, something Costa Rica. And I remember my friend Brooke, she was just like, if you said where we were at here, like they'd go crazy. And then like I started doing stuff like that. And everyone was like, oh, they do go crazy. And it wasn't until the pandemic happened
Totally.
and I fully, well, actually, no, I was running a rap night for a year before pandemic. Yeah, I just slowly, I guess, started progressing and it started opening up to me. And I started running a rap night in my city and it was a lot of fun and it really got me starting into the freestyle. And then pandemic shut down and I just went full force into practicing all the time. And now when the world back opened, I re-up my rap night in Edmonton and now it's like freestyling is my world.
How long has your Twitch channel been going for? Like, was
So,
that a pandemic project kind of to launch the
yes.
Twitch?
Yeah. So it was like whenever pandemic started, it was literally like a month before everything shut down. So that was what, like April 2021, 22? When did the world shut down? I had literally started on it probably a month
Yeah, I
before
think
everybody
21.
did.
Yeah.
In 21. Yeah, it was my homie, he's a seven-time world scratch turntable champion, Vect. He's a legend. Vect scratches. He streams on Twitch as well.
Okay.
But we became friends, and he said you would be perfect for this platform. And about a month before everybody else kind of hopped on Twitch, I'd finally got my bearings. I had like my little C920 potato Logitech webcam. I had my cruddy little mic, and I was nowhere near good. I had a lot to go rapping because I'd been running a rap night for a little while, but I still I was a very novice. I was a beginner, and so I remember starting it, and I really like was frustrated every time that I'd go on. But I kept with it and I kept with it. And eventually the community grew. My gear got updated. I got a lot better at what I was doing, which made it a lot less frustrating. And pretty much I had set everything up and I was like, all right, I don't know how long this thing is going to last, the pandemic. And I was like, I'm going to have a rap show and a DJ show. And I'm going to get way better at all these things because I wasn't a DJ before. I'd had like one DJ gig. And I was like, I'm going to do both of these things and I'm going to stay with it. And that was like 5 years ago or 4 or 5 years ago now.
Dedication goes so far, consistency and just constantly being there, doing the thing, whatever it is, whatever direction people are pushing in, just as long as they stay consistent with it. It seems like there's so many people in the world, and especially with access on the internet, we can all reach out to the entire world and find our crowd like that, right? And yeah,
It's
it
crazy,
seems like you've
yeah.
definitely landed firmly with your crowd, on Twitch. Anytime I come by on Twitch, you've got tons of people
I love my
watching and
people.
enjoying, and putting words in chat for you to rhyme
They're
with and
so good
stuff.
to
Like
me.
that's an amazing talent.
Thank
Yeah, definitely a great community you've built for yourself. But I wanted to ask, like, the first times that I ever saw people kind of doing the like freestyles that are actual genuine off the top freestyles, because like you said, sometimes you'll see this guy freestyles on the radio and it's like, I don't know if he was
Yeah,
making that up
you're
as
like,
he
there's
did it.
no way. I'm sorry.
So there's a few definitions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
but earlier I can remember seeing guys like Supernatural or like KRS-One,
Oh
who
yeah.
kind of were like having people hold up stuff in the audience to rhyme, as they're freestyling, and they'd be dropping those, and that definitely always got
Everyone's
the
like,
huge reactions, like you were saying. It's such a good way to bring the crowd into it rather than just monologuing or whatever. But you've taken that kind of to a new level where, like, reading your chat, like even before this, I jumped into your chat and was like, hey, we're ready to go, and you're like able to freestyle as you're like having a conversation with me, telling me, yeah, okay, we'll set that up. Like, incredible skills
you.
you've got. Props to you,
Thank
Shells.
you.
But I wanted to ask, like, do you have kind of, who do you see as a freestyle icon? Like,
Well,
who do you look up to
Harry
in
Mack.
the,
For
the
sure,
world
Harry
of
Mack.
freestyling?
For sure, Harry Mack. Yeah, I actually didn't
Yeah.
know of him. When I first started Twitch and freestyle rapping and all that, I didn't know of him. And how I discovered Harry Mack is he actually rated me. And then a couple years back, I got invited to be on his happy hour show on Twitch. And I remember that was a very, very pivotal point in my career because I remember sitting in the green room of their Zoom meeting, getting ready to be on this show with Harry Mack. And I didn't even really like, I looked him up and I was like, oh, this guy's like doing what I do. He's really good. He looks really cool. He has a great community. But that was near kind of the start of me. And I remember I was going on his channel and I think there was maybe 300 or 400 people. And back then, like now I'm a lot, a lot more comfortable with those kind of numbers. But back then I'm like, I've never rapped to 200 people in my life. And so I remember sitting in the green room and it's funny because there's a video of it and I can tell, like probably everyone else could tell, but I was just shaking, right? Like I'm like, woke up that morning, was practicing behind the scenes and I'm like getting ready to be on this thing with him. But I remember how nervous I felt that day, just knowing like it was a combination of all of it, right? Like I didn't like being on with Harry Mack and having that audience and having that opportunity. And I remember that day sticks out so pivotally in my career because finishing up with that, I was aware that it was really, really, really good opportunity. But the next time an opportunity came up like that, I didn't want to be nervous. I didn't want to be afraid. I wanted to be so calm and collected that it was second nature to me. And so that was the day that I started practicing every day at the level that I knew I needed to commit to so that the opportunities when they arose like that, I would be ready. I would be happy to do it. And it kind of came full circle. I like that for
Can you talk about what that practice regime
Yeah.
Sorry, can you talk about what that practice regime looked like? Like, were you putting in hours every day practicing?
Every day, yeah, at least an hour or two. And that's why I love Twitch so much is it provided me an opportunity to constantly be practicing what I do at the amount of hours that I don't think I would have ever been able to practice on my own because it's not really as gratifying. On Twitch, I can hop on and rap forever, but there's a difference between practicing and making mistakes and growing. And then there's like maintenance performance. So I have Twitch to thank all the time because especially like for that year, now with live shows and other stuff, I try to pop on as much as I can. And I can go for hours and I love it. But for pretty much a year after that, I was really focusing on Twitch. So I would rap for, like 2 to 4 hours a day on Twitch. But then off of camera, I would dedicate at least an hour a day to very, very focused practice. And there's different techniques that I did, but pretty much for a year, I just practiced like punchline setup. I would pull up random word germinator, random word generators, and I would sit there with a beat on, and you would just keep practicing, making sure that there was no filler to anything. Because the most important part to me at the start was training out filler. Like everything's got to be a punchline. And so when you practice that long enough, your brain basically becomes an algorithm, and it's like, okay, if you're rapping about a chicken, then you want to make sure that it's like you bring the flavor like chicken, or like they're fly but they're just chickens, or if you're talking about a cat, you want to be scratching.
You got a joke about crossing the road or something.
Crossing the road, exactly. So for a year, I just practiced setting it up and knocking it down. And there's a lot of different things that you can add after that as techniques. So there's different ones, like different rhyme schemes, and they're all pretty much like it's almost an algorithm, and you can really train your brain because once you train a certain thing in to get to a certain baseline, you're not using as much brain power to make that happen. So you can focus on secondary things. And that's why people who are great, people who are experts at what they do, you see them fluidly and flow, just moving through these crazy moves when really they've trained so many things up to baseline. And when they get another thing up, they start training on another thing. So yeah, basically for like the first year, the most important thing was the setup punchline. And then after that, you can add different like rhyme schemes like A, B, or like internal rhyming. And that just like is the tip of the iceberg there because it can just keep going deeper. Like there's rhythmic styles. There's so many different things. Like
totally. Techniques like that, that's like stuff that people who are training themselves to be able to write songs even or practicing songwriting are
it's just like
taking into account and trying to learn. So like even to do it on the fly, like that must be another.
And it's just like an athlete, right? Like there's so many things that you can train, whether it's like a runner, counting how long it takes them to run a mile. It's the same with that for rapping, right? Especially rhythms. Like I have an Ableton project where you can up and down the tempo, and there's different techniques like practicing triplet flows or like double time, and you slowly bump up your BPM so that you can master stuff like that. And I do that for other stuff as well. Like for example, like scratching, like I'm a pretty novice scratcher. But I practice my scratch techniques and you practice at different tempos and you just bump it up a little bit and a little bit. And that's how progress is made. And people think that it's this big, like, oh, you're so talented. How did you do that? And really it's just like thousands of micro decisions. It's you choose to practice a little bit over a very, very long time. And like the main secret is just practice, figure out where you want to be and where you want to go. And then kind of the steps to get there.
speaking of like tempos and different tempos, I did want to ask you, like, I've seen you rap over top of, traditional boom bap beats that like my homie DJ Dice is spinning at your freestyle nights
Yeah,
or
Dice
whatever.
killed
And I've
it.
seen you rap over top of like, the EDM festival kind of like bass music or whatever, which you seem to have like a huge dynamic range. Are you more at home? Are you more comfortable on one or the other?
I love both. It just depends on my mood. Like sometimes I want to battle arbitrary MCs, and that's what the boom bap's for. Sometimes I like my classic, like golden era, like sad girl, lo-fi stuff. And then when I'm ready to party, I'm ready to party. So I feel really, really lucky that
Hell
I
yeah.
built my career and my brand off of authentically being me, and my community really supports all the different sides of me, because I just sometimes I don't know what it's going to be that day, but I know that whatever it is, people are happy about it. So sometimes it's interesting, right? Because it's kind of hard to fit yourself in a box, like what is a Thug Shell set, and really it just depends on the day.
Sure. So you mentioned Harry Mack. He's somebody I've been watching. Like he's big lately. He's been doing. I think it's called Omegle or whatever, that app that like links you up with random
Yeah.
one-on-one.
He was doing
other
that
calls,
forever. He
and
got
then
up
he gets
to
3 words,
100.
right?
Yeah. He got up to 100 episodes, and then Omegle shut down. And it's so funny because he actually didn't know. They announced their final episode, and yeah, Omegle shut down. Yeah, it was a genius series that they came up
Oh,
with.
okay.
Yeah, because you can do what I do in the comfort of your home, two people.
Yeah, totally. So, but for him, like at least the clips that I see of him, he's not really like maintaining a freestyle for hours on end, which maybe he has in other videos that I haven't seen or whatever. I haven't really dug into his catalog that
Yeah,
much. I just
he
follow him
definitely
on social
has. I
media,
think
so I see
on
clips.
YouTube, he's done like 5 and 6 hour ones off a chat to celebrate like accolades and stuff.
Okay, yeah. So I wanted to ask about kind of that endurance freestyle mode that seems to be something you're pretty comfortable doing. And, I've seen people go for like the world record of how long they can freestyle
Yeah.
for and things like this. And I've seen you do streams where you rap straight for hours on end, and like beyond just the lyrical challenge of keeping the lyrics flowing, like that's got to be tough on the vocal folds and on just your voice in general to be able to maintain that. Do you have any secrets for that? Like how the hell do you manage
Yeah.
that?
I got some good tricks of the trade. So to be quite honest with you, for the most part, it's not so bad. Like your voice goes when you're out doing live stuff more so. At home, it's just such a controlled environment. Like at my old place, to celebrate 10,000 Twitch followers, like a couple years ago, we did a 10-hour freestyle rap. And it was so funny. It was like, it came
Right.
in waves of energy. It was so silly. And I actually looked into the world record of it. I think Watsky holds it at 36 hours, 36 and a half hours or so. And I remember there was a part in my life like a year and a half or 2 years ago where I actually contacted Guinness and got the approval to go break the record. But then I think like festival season hit, and I had to go DJ. So I was like, okay, we'll do this eventually.
Okay. So it is
Obviously,
something you're still looking to get to?
I mean, if the people want it, that'd be kind of silly. That'd be kind of good. I think I could do it. I remember the 10-hour mark. I was like, there's no way I can reach 10 hours. And like 9.5 hours, you just get a second wind and you're like, yeah. So I'm not against it. I think it would be silly and fun. And I honestly, like with the support of my people, maybe I could do it. Like I believe in myself. They believe in me. But the tricks of the trade for vocal health
Oh
is
yeah.
obviously a lot you can do. So vocal exercises, like you should probably, so I've been doing like low key behind stuff. I've been doing like some vocal lessons over the last little while, and I'm not always on it all the time, but I've really, really grown a lot with a vocal coach every once in a while. So I have this little like warm up track. And so you should really, especially if you're going to go for a long time, you should warm up your voice. So it's just like, look up a vocal warm up and stuff like that. But in terms of your throat going sore, there's
Yeah.
basically like, because I've had gigs before where I've had to finish a gig and then like fly to the next one, and my voice has been almost gone. And there is like one, it was last summer,
Yeah.
I spent like $120 at Shoppers Drug Mart. I'm like, give me every single lozenge, give me all of these weird. So there's this stuff you can buy it off Amazon. You can also buy it at health stores, but you can buy it really cheap from like Asian herbal stores. But it's called Nimjom. I'll spell it out for you guys, but it's the secret. Some my friend Matt Hatter gave some to me at Shambhala one year, and my voice went from gone to back. And it's basically, it has like 30 different herbal spices in it, but it's a base of honey, and it's like this, like it comes in a glass bottle, and I just like glug it like festival season. That's my saving grace. but that'll just fix your voice. It's basically like honey,
So
yum jom or whatever. It's magic. And it's like 15,
I,
like it's like 10 or $20. It's the stuff. It'll just fix your voice right up. Oil of oregano works, but tastes
nice.
horrible. There's this special kind of tea that Shoppers Drug Mart sells. It's made from licorice root. It's called Throat Coat. That stuff will save your day. And other than that, lozenges, there's one called, I call them Seppies, but it's like CEPH something something. But those are the lozenges. Don't waste your money on the other ones. Get the ones that they start with a CEPH. Those are the ones, and I've tried all the lozenges. So those are my, other than just drinking water and like vocal rest.
Dope. Yeah, staying hydrated. A lot of people swear by like green tea or whatever I've heard, but
yeah, Throat Coat is the best.
Like
it tastes kind of
a
weird.
pretty good formula worked out.
Yeah, but Throat Coat, seriously, it's so good. It's made from licorice root, so it tastes kind of funny, but you get used to it. It literally it coats your throat. It makes it better.
Can I ask you about your name, Thug Shells? Like, how did you land on being Thug Shells? Because you don't strike me as the typical hip hop thug,
Yeah.
and I think that's pretty obvious. You probably are all right hearing that, but how did you land on that name?
Well, I was just rapping on the beach and I fought this shark and I won. That's how they called me Thug Shells. No, my real name was Michelle. Right. Well, real name is Michelle. And it was a joke when I started rapping. I was like, what's my rap name? And my friends were like, Thug Shells instead of Michelle. And it just stuck. Like there was no other option. It just held. And my name, it's funny. The more you realize, you talk to a lot of artists, so many artist names are actually just like versions of their name with a little bit of a twist. And that is how it happened. It's just naturally.
So many artists. Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. A lot of people take their initials and flip that into some sort of name or whatever. But a lot of the people too, like you said, if your friends give you a nickname and that it works, then a lot of the time that sticks, and that's just what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was no Thug Shells anywhere on anything. Yeah, I was just like, wow, this worked out great. Because some people have a hard time finding their artist name, and mine found me.
Chat's like, I thought your name was Claudia.
Yeah.
I assumed that it was a play on your real name, but so you do also do like recordings. You've been working a lot recently. I know with my homie D's Wax.
I have so much music coming up. I have 3 whole projects sitting on a hard drive, like an album and pretty much 2 EPs.
What are the plans for it? What?
Yeah, so it's so hard, right? Because it's obviously so. I was trying to decide kind of which ones to put out first, because basically I have an album that I worked on over the last. I haven't like a lot of the songs were recorded about a year ago because I was in a transition phase, and that's kind of like. It's a bit of a follow up to like my Rainy Day EP that I put out last February, and it's kind of like my sad girl bangers, like when I'm going through life changes and stuff that affects me, I turn to music as pretty much my therapy. Like it's not how I resolute stuff, but it's how I really get things out of my heart. So that one means a lot to me. So that one I'm actually hoping to put out around February, because I put out my Rainy Day EP in February, like a year or 2 ago. And so I think it'd be a really cool follow-up, and around like Valentine's Day time too, it feels right. Like it's not necessarily like a love or a breakup album, but it has a lot of talk about like feelings and growing as a person and going through changes like that. So that one I really want to put out in February. I have another one that's like a boom bappy, because I was like, okay, well, I don't want to just put out sappy records. I want like some boom bappy stuff, because I've been just so busy that I haven't been able to put out as much as I like. So that one's coming out soon, actually. So that one's called Bombshell. And I'm actually just waiting on the final artwork for it. But that one I'm hoping to have out in the next month. So pretty much I want to put out Bombshell, the boom bappy one, and then my Sad Girl Banger album. And then the one after that, I've just started. So I think I might want to add a couple more songs to that. So I'm going to keep working on that one, because the most recent one that I started with our homie D's Wax, it's a vibe. Like it's kind of the new version of me. And it's funny because all these songs that I have done, they're past versions of me, right? Because you make this music and you're excited about it. But being an artist nowadays, it doesn't really look like, ooh, I made this music, here, take it. It looks like, oh, cool, I made this music. I really care about it. I want to put the time and effort that's necessary into making videos, promoting it, putting it out, not just throwing it out there and hoping that it lands. So I want to give each of these projects space to breathe. And I want to like bring them into the world in a way that people realize that they were important to me. But I want to put them out chronologically in a way that kind of makes sense, especially since they were recorded quite a while ago, you know? So I'm going to put out the Boom Bappy one pretty soon, and then my Sad Girl banger, and then the new one that I'm working on right now. A couple songs are done. It's looking like an EP now, but it might turn into an album. But that one's like kind of a relaxed, fun, like chill boom bap, kind of like casual vibe, which is kind of how I've been really entering this year and focusing on not stressing as much as about things and slowing down and really enjoying the process of it. So new music soon.
Totally. Well, and you've been doing a lot of traveling. You've been all over the place lately,
Yeah,
right?
I've been on the road. It's hard
I've seen
to do
you,
it all.
I think, in California and New York, and
Yeah, Las Vegas.
You also did TwitchCon, right? So I wanted
Yeah,
to ask about TwitchCon and kind of
that's
how you
wild.
ended up on the bill there, because that's a huge placement, right?
Yeah, that was epic. Essentially Julie Clark, she's an incredible streamer. She's a vocalist and a pianist, and they put together they wanted to do a TwitchCon after party. So they had at a beautiful venue, they had kind of acoustic music until like 8 p.m. or so. And then the plan was to have a couple of us Twitch DJs take over for the nighttime. And the show just blew up. Like TwitchCon didn't really have an official after party. So Twitch pretty much as it started getting a little bit more exciting, they kind of started supporting it. And yeah, so I was invited by the crew to come be one of the DJs, and it ended up pretty much feeling like the official TwitchCon after party. And it was epic. It was so good. It was dope. It was so fun.
It looked very official. I saw you
It
on
was,
stage there in
it
a
was
clip with,
so
like, I
sick.
don't know, the CEO of Twitch or something.
Yeah, that's my boy.
Yeah, it
This
looked
Dan
like a lot of
Clancy.
fun was being had.
Yeah. The CEO of Twitch, Dan
Dope,
Clancy,
dope.
came to the thing, and it was so funny. He's like, "I'm gonna flip you over my shoulder," and I was like, "What? Okay." And he is lucky that I don't drink, and B that I'm like quick to my feet, because I've like we've rewatched that clip so many times, and he didn't do the flipping part. Like he didn't actually flip me. He just like just chucked me up there.
Not much. No.
Yeah, yeah. So I must have been like a
Yeah,
cheerleader
and you
in a
just
past
didn't even
life.
miss a beat. You continue freestyling, like, holy,
Honestly,
yeah.
like I was just so
That was an
happy.
impressive clip. I like
I
that
was
one.
so happy there because I got to do what I love. I got put on a stage with people that I really, really respect in front of an audience that means the world to me. And I was the best version of myself there in that night because I had everyone I loved with me. You know, I had my mods, I had my fans, I had my friends, I had my DJ friends. It was the perfect night. It felt like everything that I'd been working towards. And I was
Is
like,
there a lot of networking?
oh
Like
yeah, it's
at
yeah,
an event like that, is there a lot of
big time.
handshaking and meeting new people? Yeah. Yeah,
I would
totally. That
say.
goes such a long ways in the industry.
Yeah, TwitchCon itself, like I went to the one in San Diego. I'm not going to miss it. Like I really want to go to I actually don't know if I could this summer because my schedule is already filling up quite a bit, but I would really love to go to the Europe TwitchCon they do, but I wouldn't miss a North American TwitchCon for the world. It's literally like a congregation of all of
Mm.
the creators, so much inspiration. It's meeting with companies, it's meeting with other streamers. It's like, and you meet these people that you've been friends with online for the last whatever, and you feel like you've known them for a lifetime. And that's why Twitch really, really matters to me, is because it just gives you these little windows into the worlds of
Yeah.
people, and you just have pockets of network and community everywhere. And when you go to events like TwitchCon, it just feels like magic. Like all of you are there, and it's just like it's friggin' Disneyland for streamers. Like it's dope.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
beautiful to watch
I'm like
people
almost
build that
tearing up. I'm
community.
like, I
And
love
I
them.
agree
Love
totally.
them.
Like Twitch is so powerful for that though, because like, you know, I have other streamer friends who like I used to know or see in person more often, and you know, I still feel just as close to them because I get to tune into their Twitch streams these days. So yeah, it can definitely be a good way to build that community and show kind of the reality of what a person is like, because so much with artistry these days, I feel like, you know, the artists who complain about like using social media,
Yeah.
it's more because they're kind of portraying a fake image or something, so they don't want to open the door to their real life. But people who are like on Twitch and live streaming and using all the
Yeah.
social media platforms, it's like, here I am, like, you know
Yeah.
my life and take part in it.
Yeah.
And to me, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, like I have a couple of things to say about it. That's why
Yeah.
Twitch works so well for me, is because I'm more of like a long format streamer, like a long format content, because it's so hard because I feel like you can be very, very authentic and you can actually grow and continue to build a relationship with your people when you don't have to give them these little like glamour snippets of your life. And that's why Twitch is so awesome. And that's why like I understand fully why people and artists complain about other social media, because it can be really exhausting and you have to channel a lot of effort into creating media that's kind of catered to these specific platforms, like especially, like Instagram, you can kind of clip stuff, but especially like if you want to do well on TikTok, you kind of have to make specific content for it, and that always isn't for people. So I think finding a right
Right.
balance of staying true authentically to yourself while keeping your priorities in check of what makes you happy and what doesn't take away from you creating, because sometimes when you're making content, it can really feel like it is what it is. And with what I do, I don't want to make content, but it's kind of a catch 22 because sometimes you have to. So I think it is definitely a balance. But why Twitch
Yeah.
is so cool is because you don't really think about it. You just exist. You exist and you bring each other up and you get
And you end
surrounded by a
up getting
community.
content as a result of it, right?
Exactly. And you get really authentic, like silly content that you
yeah.
wouldn't have made before.
Exactly. Yeah. And it just feels more authentic. And I think the audience can see that too, right? That
Yeah.
this is just a minute long clip of something that happened to naturally happen rather than
Yeah, like
this is, a minute long clip of the person planning out what's best for this platform or whatever. Like,
totally.
yeah. I did want to ask though, like, there's so much marketing advice out there for artists where they talk about, like you said, formats for different platforms and what's best to do on which platform and all that type of stuff. And the one big thing that they always tell you is know your target audience. And I wanted to ask you, who do you think your target audience is?
Oh Lord. See, that's the thing is like I think everyone is. I've never really
Yeah.
focused too much
Yeah.
on the target audience or the numbers. I just get to be my weirdo self and I get to attract the weirdos that find the spark in me and we get to spark each other up. So I've never, like, I obviously, like, you have to think about that stuff sometimes, but I haven't really given it much thought or much energy because I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put out what I am. And if you like it, then come hang out with us. Yeah. Like I have fans from like grandmas
Yeah.
to like little
Yeah.
children. I used
That's
to
so
do
great.
kids
The
parties.
authenticity radiates.
Yeah, yeah. And that way
Sure.
you don't have
Yeah.
to ever
Actually,
be.
I wondered about that because, like, you do have such a friendly, bubbly personality and image and
Yeah.
energy you put out into the world that it made me wonder if you had ever thought about doing
I
like
used to.
straight up like kids entertainment.
I used to. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
how I started
Okay,
actually.
cool.
Before I was a rapper, I did kids parties and it was really fun. I actually had a bunch of them and I like kind of stopped doing them because like I got really busy with other stuff. And also I was just like for some reason people kept booking me for kids things because kids love me. Like I'm just a large child, but it was so funny because I was so subpar at stuff. Like my things would be, like face paint balloon animals, but I can like draw whiskers on and make you like a dog. And so it was so funny because I do these kids parties and I'm like, you
Yeah.
realize like you can get actual balloon artists that can make, and this kid's like, I want a dog. I'm like, here's a dog. This kid's like, I want a unicorn. I'm just like, make him a weirder dog. And the parents are in the corner just cackling, laughing because they're just like, like, I don't know. But it was a lot of fun. And actually it was so silly, but working with children, like it brings me so much joy. And I actually, last year I flew up to, I have a really, really beautiful community up in the Yukon that always supports me. Like I've probably played live in the north of Canada more so than I have in any province or territory in Canada. And I came up there last year and we put on a
Interesting.
children's rap. Yeah, we did a children's rap workshop and it was so cool and so rewarding. And they took to it so quickly and it was really, really neat. So I think like right now my focus is on, touring some more, playing DJ gigs, finishing a couple albums. But when I get to a point a little further in my career, I would love to go back and focus on something like that because it just like the children are everything. And I love kids too. And just seeing them get inspired like that. And it's so cool. There was these two girls there that just took to it. And you know what their rap duo name was? They were Tuna and Clam. Tuna and Clam is what they went by. And they were actually really good. And the thing is like, give them like 5 years and they're going to be taller than me. And I'm going to be begging them for guest lists. So that's something that I really in the future would be happy to go back and do because I love kids. Like, I don't know if I'll ever have kids, but I'll take all your kids, like give them to me.
Fair enough. Yeah, I can relate to that sentiment completely. I did want to ask, like, so with so much positivity coming out of you, like I've seen clips where, you know, you're out on the streets of like New York rhyming for people, or like
Yeah.
walking around TwitchCon, I think it was, with a sign that says like I can rhyme any word, and like you're obviously very confident just kind of going out into public and
Yeah,
doing what you do
apparently.
for people on the streets. I wondered, so like most MCs, I think, would think of doing that and be afraid, myself included. That sounds daunting as hell, because like I feel like there'd be a lot of negativity thrown at me. You know, like, and there'd be a lot of people who would be like, oh yeah, get the hell out of the way, Mr. Rap, or whatever. But like, does
Yeah.
that happen to you and we just don't see it because those are the outtakes? Or do
Well,
people just like see that you're so positive and whatever that it doesn't happen that much?
yeah, what's really funny is it's like so I'm this year I'm focusing a lot more on doing stuff like that. I have a new videographer that I've been working with locally, and we have a couple clips that we're posting soon. But the more you do it, the better it gets. And I haven't had enough time to go out and do it. I always end up doing it at these large events where there's like 10,000 things going on, like when I go to New York or TwitchCon. And so I really want to get into a steady routine where I go out like once a month, once or a couple times a month, and just do it locally. Cause then the pressure is off of like carrying gear and 12,000 things going on. But it's this positive feedback loop. So every time I've gone to do it, at first I'm a little nervous. And usually, like to my videographer, I'll kind of start like rapping to them and being like, I don't know how to start. But then you go up to a person and you just approach them with like a positive energy, obviously, and be like, hey, I'm making like some rap videos. Like, is there any way you'd like to inspire freestyle? And you know what? There are no's. There's people that are like, nope. And you're like, okay, like I'm out. Don't worry. Don't even worry. Like, I don't want to rap to you. And then there's people who you're like, okay, all good. And they're like, wait, actually, this sounds interesting. And so the thing is the moment you do and you actually see how much joy it brings people and yourself, and you just like get enabled like that. So I find that because I haven't done it
Yeah.
enough to know, like I have a lot more of going out and rapping to people in the real world that I want to do and that I will do, because in order to get really good at something, practice. You got to do it a lot. But every single time I've gone out and done it, which is a handful of times, it's always the same. It's always me a little nervous. And, you know, you approach the first person or two, and with kind of a slight nervous energy, they might not always be as accepting of it. Because if you come up to them like a little bit anxious, they're like, I don't know if I want to give you 3 minutes. But you do one or two and they hit, and you see the
Yeah.
smiles you bring to people. And suddenly you're like, I'm actually providing us all a service. And then you walked up to the next person and be like, hey, I'm doing this thing if you want. And they're like, oh, okay. And then you learn who to approach and who not to approach. Like you do it really respectfully, right? Like you obviously, like if someone looks like they're in a hurry, or if they're like in a deep conversation, probably don't bug them. But if there's like a group of people that are just like bouncing around,
Yeah.
you quickly learn to gravitate to the people who you can feel are open to something like that would really like it. And then it's just a great experience for everybody involved.
For sure. So I've talked to a few guests, you know, across Canada, guys like Ilvis Freshly. I don't know if
I
you're
love
familiar
those.
with
Those are
them,
my
but they play a lot of different
boys.
festivals.
Those are my boys.
Yeah, right. And you know, even guys like in Edmonton, like Just Jordan or whatever, who kind of make, it's
Oh, that's my
definitely hip hop,
boy.
but it's also
I love
it's
my
also
people.
flavored to be very festival friendly, right? Like it's
Yeah.
definitely music that people can vibe to at a festival. I wanted to kind of talk about the crossover between EDM and hip hop that seems to currently be taking place more and more often.
Yeah.
And even when you were talking about your three upcoming projects, I was kind of surprised not to hear one of them described as, you know, this one's going to be full of the songs for the festivals or whatever.
I know. Like I probably
How do you approach
should.
that?
See, like lately, I've been not putting pressure on myself, and in my spare time, I've been writing boom bap. And so the thing is like I freestyle, and like for example, like I just put out a house track at the end of last summer that was it just got birthed naturally. Like I wasn't like I'm here to write a house hit. It just like happened. Like it just came out of me that day, and that one was a
Yeah.
banger. That's the Drama Llama song, and everyone loves it. And then I had
Drama
the
Llama, yeah.
Drama Llama, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was on to Mike produced that one. He did a killer job. I sent him my vocals and a reference track, and I pretty much gave him like I was like, this is an idea I had, and he turned it into a banger with the production. And I had a really like I'm like pat myself on the back. I had a genius idea. I'm like, what if I just shoot this music video at a music festival? And everything worked out so perfectly for that one. But lately I've just been feeling like making my like chill girl boom bap, and I know that if I wanted to channel into making like, you know, killer drum and bass or killer break beats or killer house, then I could do that. But I'm in this for the rest of my life. So I don't know. I'm like not in a super hurry. Sometimes I wake up and I feel like working on this or that. And I'm trying to figure out what my priorities are. And, my priorities are just making what kind of art I feel and not forcing anything. So yeah, it's kind of funny. Like I probably should make more
Yeah.
house bangers. Like so many of, and I'm friends with like the greatest producers in this world. Like all of these DJ friends at all these festivals and producers, they're all my homies. Like I've known everyone for so long. So I think it's a matter of me starting to make gear a little bit more stuff and sending out vocals because I think everyone's hungry for my vocals on their production. But I've been working on like boom bap production on my own and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it'll all happen. Like I want to make party music too, but in
Cool.
my spare time, I listen to chill hip hop. So I guess that's what I've been making.
Cool. Yeah, I think it goes a long ways to be authentic and make what you want to make, regardless of which artist I'm talking to. I think, that's probably the greatest advice that any of them give is don't worry too hard about trying to please anybody but yourself. So it
Yeah.
sounds like, and I think, the audience and myself, we can all tell that that is what you're doing. So yeah, don't worry about it too much. I just was
Yeah.
surprised that it wasn't in the plans already or whatever. But
Yeah.
I did want to ask about like what the process when you write new songs actually looks like, because for somebody with freestyle skills like yours, I could almost envision you jumping into a booth and freestyling a song and then kind of
Yeah, I
editing
almost
maybe a
should.
bar or two in it or whatever.
Yeah.
How does
No,
it end up
my
going?
my writing process is a lot different actually. I find that like my writing process a lot of the time, like I've been digging into production lately. And so I've been making my own beats for the first time ever. And when I've been doing stuff like that, it's essentially, yeah, like I'm feeling a certain kind of way and I can make, and I'm finally at the point where I can make some of the music not as much the skill, but like I can capture a vibe a little bit better than I could used to. But when I'm writing, it's a lot more of an intimate process for me. I'll basically like start something, I'll get a line in my head and I'll write it down, but I'll almost freestyle out loud, kind of line by line and work on it that way. Cause I could just sit down and freestyle rap a song probably as well. But writing is it's a different process for me, I guess. So I like to take my time with it. I'd probably be better off if I just
Totally.
turned on a microphone and like didn't care as much about it. But I don't know. Whenever I'm in like writer's mode, it's like a whole, I have to like sit down and work on my song and I'm not allowed to leave the notebook until I've finished my 16 or like finish my 16 and a hook. And it's kind of like I zone in on it. And lately I've been writing a lot of like kind of deeper stuff and it's nice to slow it down because I can really take my time with my feelings and work through. Usually I'm feeling a certain kind of way when I've been working on the music as of late, and as I sit down and write through it and work on it, I really work out stuff through myself, and by the end of the song I've usually come to a resolution in my own head. So for me it's like sacred process is the writing.
Totally. Yeah, makes sense. Can we transition into? Something I've been asking a lot of different artists, and on this show, I like to ask a lot of different artists some of the same questions that have, a wide range of answers that could be given to them. So,
Yeah.
can you tell me what you think of Spotify? This has been kind of a hot button issue with artists across,
Yeah.
the past since everybody was posting their Spotify Wrapped stuff.
Totally. I didn't even bother posting my Spotify Wrapped. I guess I'm kind of neutral. Like I love that it exists. I use it all the time. I'm glad people can jump on there to listen to me. I feel like my Spotify numbers aren't tied to my self-worth. So I know that I could probably have higher Spotify
Mm.
numbers, but I also like I've been working on building a community outside of that and stuff. So I'm not upset when my numbers aren't like in the huge whatever. I'm just gonna keep making music because I love making music. So like I guess pretty neutral with
Yeah,
Spotify. Like obviously it'd be sick if I dropped an album and the songs had millions of plays, but it'll eventually come with time. Like I'm not going anywhere. And my main income isn't Spotify
totally. Fair
either.
enough.
So
Yeah.
I don't really care that they don't give me much. Like obviously it's important to pay artists for the music that they put through, but I feel very supported and lucky to be able to financially cover stuff through other platforms a little bit more. So I guess I'm not jaded is the proper answer to it.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And it seems like you have built like such an online following, to the point where it might not really matter how much, the local people know or follow you or are really on board even with it. But I still have a lot of respect for what you're doing with like the River
Thank
City
you.
Revival nights, where you've
Yeah, my rap
giving
nights
people
are
a
the
platform
best.
to come out and talk, right?
I love my rap nights. They're
Yeah, and I
so
mean,
good.
I wanted to ask like how important is that local reputation to you? That's one that I ask a
Oh,
lot of different artists and hear
it's
a lot of different
everything.
opinions on.
Yeah. Not as much reputation like that. The respect kind of comes when you're doing something that's awesome wholeheartedly. So I'm glad I have a great
Yeah.
reputation within my city to, be able to put on these events. And I have a really good rapport with pretty much like everyone I know, I would hope. And I'm able to give my
Yeah.
friends and different artists opportunities like that. But we all win when we do that. So for me, it's really important because it brings me so much joy. Like, I wouldn't want to do it alone, and being able to grow with a community, especially rap night, because like my catharsis is just rapping. It's rapping forever without it being on record, without it being permanent. It's just jamming with my friends. And what we've built there is a beautiful community that I don't have to stress. People show up. It's literally a family. The venue, like River City Revival House, that's my home. Like Starlight Room is above it. And like everyone that works and owns that venue, like they care about the night. They care about me. They care about my crew that comes through. And just being able to have built something so beautifully sustainable for the love of hip hop, that in turn means the world to me. And being able to share that online and having people globally tune in and get to know my MCs, get to know my regulars, is basically like a little bit of an MTV version that I've created. And so I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I moved over to Calgary. So I actually have to go to Edmonton every 2 weeks to run my rap night. And like financially, like it's hard to go visit a different city for an event, but I wouldn't give it up for the world because it makes me so happy. It reminds me why I worked so hard to do what I do is so I could put other people up and be able to be brought up by them as well. It's just the energy there is unmatched.
So you're another transplant from Edmonton down to Calgary. Then I've talked to people in
Yeah.
Calgary who have made that move recently.
Yeah.
Was
It just happened. I
was it
never even
weather
announced
based,
it.
or what was it?
No, actually, well, there was two main reasons. One of them was I was so happy in my little cocoon that I'd grown, my little basement I lived in, my studio for a couple years, but actually like my neighborhood just things started getting a little sketchy. Like I had a break-in attempt, and I'm never home, and I have like quite a bit of gear. So basically, the same week that someone broke into my house, my mom got diagnosed with blood plasma cancer. She's in Calgary, and so everything just makes sense.
Oh,
And I
damn.
left almost
Sorry to hear
everything I
that.
own. She beat it. Yeah, she just had her last chemo like 2 weeks
Oh,
ago.
good.
Yeah, she's doing. I'm so proud
Right
of
on.
her. But basically, yeah, I literally like in between gigs, I think I came back from a festival, packed half my life, took one trip, then took the rest of the trip and went to my Shambhala. I left so much stuff, which was good. It was important to let go, but I pretty much packed up and left within a week. I was like, I gotta go. Like the universe is like, you need to move. So I moved to be closer with her. And I barely, it's so funny. Like
Fair
I was
enough.
so busy. I barely saw her. And I took her out, on the day of her last chemo. And she's like, hey, look, we're finally hanging out now that my cancer's gone. And I'm like, fuck. Like, but I tried to move closer for it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that sounds like a good move on your part. It's good to be close to
Yeah,
family.
it is. Yeah. And I have a lot of
Can
friends
I
in
ask? So I
Calgary.
have a series of these questions.
Hmm.
Totally, I have a series of these questions about like how important is this or that I like to ask different artists. Can I just throw a few of these at you quick? How important is having a manager in
I've never
today's
had a manager.
era?
I'm my own manager. I'm my own boss. I'm my own everything.
So not very.
Not very important to me, I
So
guess. Although it'd be sick, but
cool.
yeah,
One day, yeah, one day maybe.
self-managed.
How important is it to be tech savvy? That's one that I feel like
It's very important, and
you've
it
leaned
comes.
into.
Yeah, it's very important, and it comes with time. Like you just keep progressing and growing and learning. So, yeah, I guess it's very important. But sometimes I hate the fact that it is important, but it
Cool.
is important.
How important is listening to legends of hip hop?
It's so important. So I'd never grown up on hip hop. So one of the things that I was, I guess, most embarrassed, like, I guess a weakness of mine was I had started rapping and I never grew up on hip hop. I had so much of a lack of hip hop knowledge on the foundation of groundwork. So it was probably a year or two ago where I would always think about how like I wish I just knew more. And I actually went back to like, like 1978 or whenever, and I listened to every iconic hip hop album of the year from then onwards so that I'd at least be able to know. And I feel like I still have so much work to do because I never grew
Yeah.
up on hip hop. I never had any of that knowledge, but now I can have these conversations and continue in my career with a lot more respect because I think it is the most important thing ever, actually. So very important.
Dope. I agree completely. People should know the
Mhm.
roots of the culture that they're taking part in.
Yeah,
So I
especially
love
like if
that
you want to
answer
pay
from you.
respect. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Right.
Yeah, I just
How
friggin'
important is
scooped
paid
Slick.
advertising?
I've never paid for advertising,
Oh
and I feel like
shit.
I
Sorry.
should. No, it's okay. I bought Slick Rick tickets last night, and I'm stoked. He's coming here in February. I love Slick Rick.
So
But anyway, so
yes,
I've
I'd love to
never.
see that show. He's a legend for sure.
Yeah, we'll come through. Let's go together. But yeah, so I've never
Hell
paid
yeah.
for advertising ever. And I feel like I'm actually probably should. Like I feel like in this day and age, if you just channel and it's like not from a lack of money, I just like never have. And there's certain things I do really well. And then there's just like the tiny thing that I'm like, I don't even want to think about it. But I feel like artists can and should when they care about a project, like fund some, whatever into it. So I think moving forward, I definitely like want to. I never have. Like I've had such a beautiful organic reach for stuff. And I guess just like sometimes I get frustrated of all the things. It's like, oh, you got to make this clip for this clip and post this and post this and post this. And then you got to run an ad manager. But it's just another thing you got to learn how to do. So for me, it hasn't been important,
Yeah,
but I feel like it's a good tool that maybe I should utilize more.
totally. How important would you say physical merch is for an artist?
It's super important. People just want to support you. I'm my merch game. Like I have a online shop. My merch game, my sticker game is fire. But my merch game is a little not weak, but like I don't know. Like I've never like a lot of artists make a majority, especially when they're touring. I think when you're touring, it's super, super important to help cover costs. But I've just had so many priorities that my merch game hasn't been at the forefront. I think it is important, and I think that moving forward, I should probably like give some more love to it. Because looking around and seeing everyone like rock your merch, it's the best.
And I always like to ask, one of these how important questions that I feel like I'll already know the answer to. So here's one. How important is the ability to freestyle for an MC?
It is well. See, for an MC, I'm not going to say that it's important or not, but for this MC, it is everything.
Dope. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're coming up on the hour mark here. There's a couple questions that I ask everybody, one of which is, could you describe your local hip hop scene? So
Yeah.
talk about whichever city you want to, really.
Yeah. Well, I haven't really gotten to know the Calgary one yet. So I'm going to talk about Edmonton because that's my home, like born and raised. That's everything. It is so beautiful, so diverse, so
Totally.
caring, so talented. My favorite part of it is just watching everyone band together and get better over the last couple years. It is so interwoven and it's very, very diverse. Like there's lots of different rap things going on, but every second Thursday in that little basement, we pack it full. Like people don't miss rap night. And that is just
Yeah.
the coolest thing ever. It's bumping.
Totally. And I love what you're doing with it too, just bringing different people in and, getting different DJs involved.
Yeah.
And, just bringing the entire crowd together like that goes so far.
And it's so good for everyone involved too. So if you ever want to roll through Edmonton, you just let me know. Or if you have friends out that way who I might have not reached out to come feature, I book a different DJ and a different rapper every time. And I'm always looking for fresh faces to put up there. So always welcome.
Dope. I have sent a few people that direction. I
Hell
know I've seen
yeah.
Epic has shown up there a few times. I
Yeah.
heard Touch was at the last one.
Yeah, what a
So
G.
yeah,
He
I
was killing it on the mic too.
have some homies who have come through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those guys, they're both epic freestylers. Well,
I'm just really
I used the
proud,
wrong word to describe epic, but
Yeah, epic. Yeah, I'm just really proud of what we're building there, and it's what we're building. It's never been just me. It's never been about me. It's always from day one been what we have built. And that's what means the most to me. It's a community.
Totally.
And I know that if one day comes when I'm too busy to be able to make it back to Edmonton, I know that what we've built has set the foundation to continue. And that's leaving a legacy. And that is as important as
Perfect.
doing
Yeah,
it.
totally. Can you name some other artists from the Edmonton scene that you think deserve more love that maybe other people should check out or get up on?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. There's so many dope rappers in Edmonton. Like my homie Kripel, he is killing it. I've been trying to get him out to Rap Night forever, but he's so busy. He's one of the OGs. My buddy Sticks doesn't have recorded music, but if you've ever tuned in or come out to freestyle rap nights, Sticks, no one's commanded a room like him. It's insane.
Yep,
D's Wax has been holding it down forever.
he's very dope.
Ba- He's very dope. It baffles me that me and him have only known each other for like, I think it's been like a year and a half. But he's a staple. Like I feel most comfortable in his studio recording with him. And he holds down, he's, scratching, producing, mixing engineer, DJ. D's Wax is an OG. Just Jordan is amazing, puts out
Yeah,
great work.
he's in all the lanes and he does them all very well.
Yeah. Juicy Blue does great. I wish I had like a list of my last features. Chew the producer is a really good friend of ours there too. He's come out to Rap Night to DJ, but he is also a producer, and he did a double. He was the rap feature and the DJ a couple weeks ago, and like so steezy, like it was just so good. The city holds
Dope.
it down. The amount of
Yeah,
talent
that's
on there
that's
is
plenty of
nuts.
names, really.
Yeah, I can keep going.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to check
Yeah.
out Chew the producer. Like it's tough for
Chew's
people
a
to name
G.
Edmonton
Yeah.
artists who I'm not familiar with.
Well,
But yeah,
Chew
that's one of
actually,
them. Yeah.
it was cool. He reached out like near the start of Rap Night. He reached out to me, and I think he'd found the Rap Night just through the internet or whatever. And he reached out and he asked to come DJ. And yeah, he's great. You love him.
Nice. Can I ask, are there any plans for shows or tour coming up that you can plug that people should know about?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to the East Coast for the first time. I have a show in Halifax in like 2 weeks. Which will be sweet. And then I
Nice.
have another mid Canada show announcement. I can't say it yet, I don't think, but the announcement should be dropping within the week. So if you're near the middle of Canada, you might see me around.
Cool.
And then I already have a lot of festival bookings for the summer. So you'll see me at a lot of the same circuit that you probably saw me last summer in the summer. And I am I'm pretty busy the next couple months, but I bought an RV. And my plan is to take it on an adventure. So I was taking a look, but I'm probably going to be, putting together a little bit of a tour. I also have a Kelowna show coming up at the end of February, and something around Nelson in the next couple months too. So I'm going to try to plan a little thing around it there. So pretty much I'll be around. You'll find me.
So can I ask, that makes me wonder, like, for if people are buying, if you're on tour and say you're stopping in, I don't know, I'm just going to use Winnipeg as an example or something. You say somebody's in Winnipeg, they see you coming to
Mid-Canada.
town. Would they be expecting to see, well, perhaps, but would they be expecting to see like a freestyle performance, or are you going to be performing
So for
songs you've
these,
written, or both?
It's both. It's definitely both. But usually when I get booked, like lately, like all my bookings, unless I'm booked specifically for a hip hop show. Oh, I have another really cool show in Edmonton that I can't announce yet, but it's for like a bit of an OG. So when I'm booked for specifically a hip hop show, it's going to be a hip hop set. It's going to be songs, and usually, I'll throw in like a freestyle song or two sandwiched in the middle. So people are like, whoa. But a lot of the bookings I get booked for are electronic nights. So for that one, usually, it's a DJ set. There'll be a couple originals weaved into there seamlessly, and then I'll be freestyling a bit over the beats. So that's kind of what that looks like. Is like I cater what I do to the
That makes a lot of sense.
night.
Yeah.
And if I were to plan a tour, which I haven't gone on a proper tour, I've always I've thought about it, and I think really it's almost like it's two different things, right? There's two sides of me, because you could almost book me for just a hip hop night, or you could book me for an electronic night, because I play all genres too. So yeah, I could really flavor it to both. So I think one day when I get my life together and I'm ready to take things on a full tour would probably look like both. Like some cities that probably have a hip hop night and a DJ night, because that's me. They're different.
Love it. Yeah, that's dope. What's the best way for people to support you or other artists that they like in 2024?
Just share our shit. It's free. Tell your friends about it. Come hang out if you want
That
to.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's probably the best way, because obviously you can support artists monetarily, through Twitch. It's awesome. People just I'm floored by the amount of community support, and I feel so lucky and grateful for that. But honestly, money is it's everything, but it's also like it's not the most important thing. Just by being a member of the community and sharing around music and sharing, posts and stuff like that, or like, if you want to see me in your town, talk to a
Yeah.
local promoter and tell them to reach out. Just little things like that are just all of those little things add up to making artists feel so, so special.
Perfect answer. I love that. I
Mhm.
think a lot of people overlook how important the word of mouth and the, liking and sharing posts,
Yeah, word
as
of
simple
mouth
as
is
that. It doesn't
so
cost anything and it
powerful.
pushes it to
Mhm.
more people. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's beautiful. Like it's just.
Yeah, definitely. Where can people find you on social media most often? Is it, I mean, of course, other than Twitch?
Yeah, yeah, we're always on Twitch. But if you like, it depends how hardcore you want to be a part of us. Like we have quite a bump in Discord, which is there's like I think there's like 1,500 people in it now. But that's where you can just kind of hang out
Nice.
off of like the typical social media. But I'm pretty active on Facebook and Instagram. Like I always do on those. I have TikTok. It does fine, but I feel like I one day I'll prioritize TikTok. But yeah, pretty much Twitch or like Instagram is kind of the money, or go pump up my Spotify. Oh, YouTube, definitely YouTube. This year is about adding a lot more to YouTube. So especially we have a lot of videos in the plans coming out soon. So the YouTube's gonna be getting a lot more love in the next couple months. And it's Thug Shells
For
everywhere.
sure. All right. Well, thanks for doing this, Thug Shells. Yeah, appreciate you a lot for coming by, and shouts to everybody in chat for coming through on to watch and share some energy in chat. This has been really cool talking to you, and if you ever need support, I'm always here to play your music on AtSick. Feel free. Let me know when new stuff is coming out, of course.
Will
And
do. I'll send
yeah,
you
if you
everything.
want to book Lethbridge, let me know. I can
I
do what
would
I
love,
can
I
to make
would
that
love to
happen
come
or
out to
whatever too.
Lethbridge. I
So
haven't
yeah.
been there in a while.
Yeah, totally. So appreciate you a lot, and thanks for doing this though.
Thank you, Dubious, and love you, not a cult. Thank you guys for
Thanks.
tuning in. Bye.
All right. All right, everybody. So once again, thanks. I do these interviews every Tuesday. Coming up next week, I'm talking to an Edmonton-based MC who I'm really excited. Sorry, not Edmonton-based MC. That was this week. Next week, I'm talking to a Toronto-based MC named Asun Eastwood, who I've really been looking forward to catching up with. I play a lot of his music on AtSick. The week after that, I'm talking to K-Riz, who is actually one of those Edmonton guys who's moved down to Calgary recently. He puts out a lot of dope music that's kind of more R&B tinged, but he's a hell of a lyricist. I'm looking forward to talking to him. January 30th, I talked to Freelance Flint. February 6th, I talked to Lee Reed. So Freelance Flint is based out in Vancouver on the West Coast. On the East Coast, I'm talking to Lee Reed. He's from Halifax, I believe. I met him a long time ago. I actually got to open for him in Edmonton probably a decade ago. And then we're bringing things back home to Edmonton. I'm talking to CX to the World. He's an Edmonton-based artist who's been putting out a lot of dope music lately. I'm talking to Emprime, who is a guy who was back in the early 2000s dropping a lot of music in Edmonton, and now he's kind of back on the scene. So I'm looking forward to talking to him because he'll have a lot of perspective to share on how things have shifted over the years, and what he thinks of it now compared to then. And then February 27th, I talked to Jimmy Burnett. He's another Edmonton-based artist, I should say. Of course, you can always find everything that I'm doing. Dubious.com is the hub. If you want to listen, I see somebody asked in chat here, like, how many Canadian rappers are there? There are more than I knew of 10 years ago. I was always somebody who paid a moderate amount of attention, but since I started doing After the Smoke is Clear 5 years ago, I've really tapped in. And, that's why I ask in these interviews, like, who are some other artists I should check out? Because I actually do go check them out and, hit follow on them on their social media and on Spotify and everything, so that as they're dropping new music, I hear it every week. Come by on Twitch. Some of the time I'm just here gaming, listening to new music. I listen to 4, 5, 6, 7 hours worth of new release music every week. And I try to do it mostly on stream. Sometimes I do it at the gym or whatever else. But a lot of the time I'm here on stream, putting together episodes of After the Smoke is Clear. So I appreciate everybody who hit follow, and much love to everybody who comes through and came through today. But yeah, I'm going to keep this thing going. Check out After the Smoke is Clear, mixcloud.com/dubious. The last episode that I put up was the best of season 4. So it's a 2-hour long playlist. It covers artists from coast to coast. It's I think 96% or something along those lines Canadian content, and it's all like new release from 2023. I only play things once while I'm, no, I don't stream at the gym, if that's what the question about the gym was. But yeah, I definitely try to pay as much attention to as much new music as I can. And the mission statement is kind of to get as much undiscovered hip hop into as many new ears as possible. So I appreciate all of you hip hop heads coming by. And if you enjoy this type of thing, definitely hit the follow. Come back next Tuesday for another interview, and check out the mixcloud.com/dubious. That's where the entire archives are, and we should have season 5, episode 1 finished up and ready for Thursday this week. So this interview, I also put the audio from these interviews on after the hour of music. So yeah, mixcloud.com/dubious is a good place to listen to new released independent Canadian hip hop, and also get to learn more about the artists. So yeah, appreciate y'all tapping in. It's been fun, and big shouts to Thug Shells, of course. This was great. This was a great interview, and I really appreciate the cross pollination between the scenes here. But enjoy. Everybody have a good day. Peace.